In this video, I'm going to show you the easiest approach for creating interactive graphics in R, specifically using a bar plot for a demonstration. So the easiest way to create interactive graphics in R is to first create a plot using ggplot2. Most of you are familiar with how to use ggplot2 to create a graphic. It doesn't really matter which one you create, but create a graph using ggplot2. Then use the ggplotly function from the plotly package to make the graphic interactive. That's it. The advantage of this approach is that it is dead simple. It really can't get any more straightforward than that. The disadvantage of this approach is that it may not give you the control you desire over certain aspects of the graphic that are interactive. So what exactly is Plotly? Plotly is an R package for creating interactive web-based graphs via the open source JavaScript graphing library plotly.js. There are two ways that the Plotly package can be used to create interactive graphics in R. First, you can take an existing plot created by ggplot2 and then add interactivity to that graphic using the ggplotly function provided by the Plotly package. The other approach is to use the custom interface provided by the Plotly package to directly connect to the plotly.js JavaScript library. We'll actually demonstrate both approaches in this video. First, we need to load the necessary packages. So we're going to load the ggplot2 and Plotly packages to create our graphics. And then we're also going to load the penguins dataset from the palmerpenguins package, which we're going to use for our examples. I've added quietly right here to the library statements so that when these packages are loaded, I don't get a bunch of warnings and messages and things like that. So in the code below, we're going to use ggplot2 to create a basic bar plot of the species of the penguins available in the penguins dataset. And then we're going to assign this graphic the name ggbar. After that, we use the ggplotly function from the Plotly package to make our graphic interactive. This code right here uses ggplot2 to create the bar plot. So specifically, we create a ggplot using the penguins dataset, and after that, we add the bar geometry to create a bar plot of the species variable that's in the penguins data frame. It's very important to assign the graphic that you create a name because you're going to have to pass that to the ggplotly function in order to make the graphic interactive. So I create the graphic here, and then I use the ggplotly function, and this looks very much like a standard ggplot2 bar plot. But notice that as I hover over the bars, it indicates the count associated with each bar as well as the level of the categorical variable I'm plotting. So I see that when I hover over this bar, that there are 152 observations in my penguins dataset that are of the Adelie species. Similarly, there are 68 chinstrap penguins, and there are 124 gentoo penguins. So the approach that I've presented first is by far the easiest way to create an interactive graphic in R. However, let's use the direct capabilities of the Plotly package to also create a bar plot of penguin species. In general, the function you want to use in the Plotly package to directly create interactive graphics is the plotly function, where plot and ly are separated by an underscore. You can also add additional layers to your graphics using the various add underscore functions provided by Plotly, which is very similar to adding layers to a graphic in ggplot2, and you can customize the layout of your graphics using the layout function. The main arguments to the Plotly function are data, which is where you pass an optional data frame whose variables that you want to plot. Another important argument to the Plotly function is the type argument, which is where you provide a character string to indicate the type of plot you want to create. For example, you can have a bar plot, a histogram plot, a box plot, a violin plot, a scatter plot, etc. If you don't provide this, Plotly will actually try to figure out what you want to plot, but it's better to simply specify it directly. If you look at the Plotly documentation, there's also a ... argument, and this is really an argument where you have to specify the attributes of the graphic. Attributes are really similar to the aesthetics in ggplot2, and so you have attributes like x, y, etc., which you use to specify how the variables are going to be used in the plots. Another really important argument is the split argument. And the split argument takes discrete values and uses it to create multiple traces with one trace per unique value in that vector. And the split argument is actually very similar to the group argument in ggplot2. Plotly describes a trace as a single series of data in a graph. So for example, if you have data for multiple groups and you want to create separate layers for each level of a categorical variable, you would pass that categorical variable to the split argument, and then you would get distinct traces or drawings for each one of those groups. You also have arguments like color and alpha, which describe colors you want to use to fill your graphic, and alpha, just like in ggplot2, is going to be a number between 0 and 1 that controls the transparency of the graphic. So let's talk about how to create a bar plot directly using the Plotly package. So to create a bar plot, you actually need a data frame that contains the count or frequency associated with each level of the categorical variable that you want to display. So in the code below, what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a data frame that summarizes the counts of each species for our penguins dataset. And because it's really easy, I'm actually going to use the dplyr package to do this. And I'm going to use the pipe operator to pipe one object into the function for the next step of my analysis. So I want to create this data frame called species underscore counts. And I'm going to take the penguins data frame, I pipe that into the group by function, and I want to group the species together, which means that in the next step, I'm going to apply the function to each group or each level of the species variable. And specifically what I want to do is I want to use the summarize function to summarize the frequency associated with each level. And that's what this in function does right here. So I'm going to count the number of species for each level of this variable. And when I print this, you can see that I have my 3 species, and then I have the frequency or count associated with each one of my species. Once I have that data frame that describes the frequency associated with each level of my categorical variable, we can create a bar plot easily using the Plotly package. So in my Plotly function, I'm going to set the type argument to bar. I'm going to associate the levels of the categorical variable with the x attribute, and then I'm going to associate the frequency or count associated with each level with the y attribute. And one thing I want to point out is that when you want to associate a variable from a data frame to a particular attribute, you have to use this special tilde notation. So I'm passing the species underscore counts data frame to the Plotly function, and I use tilde species to associate this variable with the x-axis, tilde frequency to associate this variable with the y-axis, and I indicate type equals bar in order to create a bar plot. And when I do that, that creates the graphic shown below. And so this produces a graphic similar to the one we already saw using the ggplotly function. The color is a little bit different, but each time I hover over a bar, I see the count and level associated with each bar. So I can see that in this data set, I had 152 Adelie penguins, 68 chinstrap penguins, and 124 Gentoo penguins. To summarize, we've used the Plotly package to demonstrate 2 approaches for creating interactive bar plots in R.